And welcome back to Echo Base Network. I am the coach. He is Nick. And Nick, we got a really special episode today that we're going to be doing more of these. We're going to actually give the subscribers something that is Star Wars that we love. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, with all the negativity going on out there that's been going on with Star Wars for years, it'll be nice to kind of move away from that a little bit and hit on something a little bit on the positive side.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So, and here's what we're talking about. We're going to play our brand new episode of Retrospectives, and we made a small documentary on, Nick, you want to tell them about it?
The Battle of Hoth.
The Battle of Hoth.
There's a lot of stuff in here that I did not know about.
Yep. It's so much fun for us to go through these. We get to learn a lot. We know that you guys really enjoy them. So drop us a line, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think about this episode of Retrospectives on the Battle of Hoth. We're going to go ahead and play that now, and we'll be back right after the end credits to discuss.
Real quick, I just want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters for guest narrating this thing. So if you guys have not subbed to Jeff and them over there on their channel, there'll be a link to that in the description of this. Go check them out and give them a sub.
All right,
but I'm sure all you guys know who Jeff is.
All right, well, here we go. Retrospectives, the Battle of Hoth.
The Battle of Hoth, also known as the evacuation of Hoth, the assault on Echo Base, the attack on Echo Base, or the evacuation of Echo Base, was a major battle fought in 3 ABY, and was considered a major victory for the Galactic Empire, and the single worst battlefield defeat suffered by the Rebel Alliance during the Great Galactic Civil War. The battle was an Imperial invasion led by Darth Vader, aimed at destroying the Rebel Alliance's Echo Base, hidden on the remote ice world of Hoth, and capturing Luke Skywalker. The base's location was discovered when a Viper probe droid deployed by Darth Vader's Death Squadron randomly landed on Hoth. The Imperial attack force consisted of primarily AT-AT walkers, commanded by General Maximilian Veers. His army was tasked with destroying Echo Base's main power generator to allow orbital bombardment of the planet for Darth Vader to land on the planet. Spearheading the defense of the generator was Rogue Squadron, manning snowspeeders commanded by Luke Skywalker, renowned for being the pilot who destroyed the first Death Star. The snowspeeders, however, did not have the necessary firepower to bring down the walkers, so Skywalker suggested an alternative tactic to trip up the walkers with tow cables issued to every snowspeeder. Despite the efforts by Rogue Squadron, the power generator was eventually destroyed by Veer's main AT-AT. The remaining base personnel proceeded to evacuate, as the 501st Legion led by Darth Vader entered the base. The overwhelming Imperial invasion forced the rebellion to scatter the Alliance fleet across the galaxy, leading to a multitude of scattered skirmishes across the galaxy for over 6 months before the Empire's sudden and crushing defeat at the Battle of Endor. Following the Rebel Alliance's major victory at Yavin, the rebellion abandoned its base on Yavin 4 and began searching the galaxy for new possible bases of operation, considering worlds such as Daxon Beta and Insk. They also attempted to set up base at Crate. In the subsequent 3.5-year conflict, General Jandadana ordered a mission to find the base for the High Command. During that mission, a Rebel Alliance Special Forces soldier named Purpruff traveled to the planet of Hoth in the Anoat sector and filed a report on it. Subsequently, the Corps of Engineers constructed the base over the course of 2 standard years, hoping to claim it as their new base of operation while avoiding the watchful eyes of the Empire. The base was inhabited for less than a month before the battle took place. Following the defeat of the Empire 3.5 years earlier at the Battle of Yavin, the Rebel Alliance suffered from relentless Imperial attacks during the Mid-Rim Retreat. Rumors of a rebel base circulated throughout the rebellion, but only a few in the Alliance actually knew the concrete details about its existence. Rebel troopers at Echo Base, far distant from the disastrous rebel tactical situation in the Mid and Outer Rim territories, actually had access to better equipment and training than rebel soldiers throughout the rest of the galaxy. Shortly before the battle, a strategy conference was held at the base after the arrival of several transports, which were rumored to carry Princess Leia Organa, General Karl Stryken, Commander Chiffonage, a Bothan spy, and several other members of Alliance Command. The conference's main briefing was from defected Imperial Governor Every Chalice, who had been extracted from Hydoral Prime by the 61st Mobile Infantry under Captain Micah Avon. Chalice offered substantial information about the inner workings of the Imperial war machine, and made a map, trade routes, and Imperial weak points. The meeting ended shortly before the battle, which meant that Leia and the other attendees were forced to run the Imperial blockade in order to leave the system. As part of Project Swarm, the Empire sent Viper probe droids to search for the hidden rebel bases throughout the galaxy. One such droid, the probe XJ9-CS14, was deployed from the Imperial II-class Star Destroyer Stalker, and eventually located the rebel base. On the ground, Commander Luke Skywalker spotted the probe droid crash while on a reconnaissance mission on his Tauntaun, indigenous snow lizard utilized by the Alliance personnel as mounts and believing it to be a meteorite. Went closer to investigate. On his way, Skywalker was attacked by a native Wampa and dragged off into a cave before he could get a closer look. Han Solo eventually went off to rescue Skywalker during a harsh snowstorm, in spite of the concern from his comrades. Later, Solo and Chewbacca were tasked with investigating the lead that Skywalker came across, leading to their discovery of the existence of the probe droid. Upon being spotted by it, Han attempted to destroy it, only to have the droid activate its self-destruct mechanism. Receiving the new intelligence from the probe, the crew of the Executor-class Star Dreadnought Executor initially dismissed its findings. In spite of Admiral Kendall Ossel's concern that pictures of the Rebel shield generator merely belonged to smugglers, Darth Vader instructed the Imperial Death Squadron to invade the planet. With their location revealed, the wrath of the Empire would soon be unleashed upon the rebellion. Upon dissemination of Han Solo's report on the probe, Base Commander General Riken correctly concluded that the mysterious probe had been sent from the Empire. Riken ordered the immediate evacuation of Echo Base, using code K10. Riken then ordered Rebel technicians to raise the base's shields to maximum power in order to minimize damage from orbital bombardment. By dumping energy directly into the planet's interior, the Rebels' planet base shield allowed protection from bombardments that would normally overwhelm ship shields. Simultaneously, Princess Leia Organa instructed Rebel pilots within Hangar 7 to escape in groups in order to avoid the Imperial blockade. The Rebel plan was to have all the ships meet at a pre-specified rendezvous point. Immediately, the Rebel base fluttered with activity, and boarding began on 30 GR-75 medium transports. Non-combat personnel were loaded first, while the Tauntauns utilized by the Rebels were set loose on the frozen plains. A noisy alarm immediately indicated the Empire's arrival, while a subspace alert was sent out to the transports of the new recruits heading for the world to avoid the system. When Darth Vader's fleet arrived in the Hoth system, he quickly discovered that the Rebels were fully aware of the ambush that he had planned, which was not helped by Ozzel's Star Destroyer appearing out of lightspeed too close to the system. Vader promptly force-choked Ozzel to death for poorly handling the situation, and immediately promoted Captain Firmus Piet to the rank of Admiral, leaving him in charge of the invasion. Planetside, decorated General Maximilian Veers was placed in command on the ground assault, and led the contingent of AT-ATs and AT-STs under the unilateral command of Blizzard Force. Veers, wary that Rebel starfighters would swarm the Executor's INCOM Y-85 Titan dropships, called upon the Death Squadron's more versatile Gozanti-class cruisers, which could only carry 2 AT-ATs at a time, unlike the Titan's 4. Blizzard Force barges and troop carriers escorted by TIE fighters converged at the Moorish Moraine glacier feature well north of a heavily fortified mountain base. Unable to orbitably bombard the base due to the Rebel shield, which utilized projector modules scattered throughout the Rebel territory, General Veers was ordered to destroy the central power generator, which would knock out any of its subsidiary projector modules. General Veers also received orders to capture rather than kill surviving Rebel forces from his assault. In an attempt to impress Vader, Blizzard 4 attempted to cross a direct but treacherous route into the Kurain Valley, only to lose 3 walkers to crevices in the eastern ice flow. Blizzard's 4 AT-AT groups then retreated to a more manageable westerly route. The main group of AT-AT soon emerged from the fog atop the North Ridge. The Imperial Gozanti-class cruisers were first spotted by 61st Soldier Roja at Perimeter Outpost Delta. Another soldier, Beak, deduced that they were carrying the walkers, and First Sergeant Hazrim Namir prompted him to report it to Echo Base. While in space, the Imperial-class Star Destroyer Tyrant was disabled by Echo Base's ion cannon, allowing the first GR-75 medium transport, Quantum Storm, and its fighter escort to safely escape. Nonetheless, it wouldn't be long until the Imperial forces on the ground would be reported by Outpost Beta, confirming Beak's suspicion. Outpost Beta was subsequently the first sentry post destroyed with half a dozen laser blasts from Imperial AT-ST walkers. Blizzard Force then defeated the Rebel scouts at Echo Station 3T8, allowing them to continue their march toward Echo Base. Rebel ground forces attempted to hold the line against the Imperial walkers in recently dug trenches dotted with numerous DF-9 turrets and concentrated blasts of 1.4 FDP tower laser cannons, but were met with little success due to the near impervious armor that was utilized by the AT-ATs. Proximity mines planted by Outpost Beta personnel failed to damage the advancing AT-ST walkers. Therefore, the official order for the Rebel ground troops was to protect the shield generator. Its destruction would allow the Imperial forces to easily destroy Echo Base. First Sergeant Namir of the 61st and soldiers at the Outpost Delta were soon under attack by a force of several Imperial snowtroopers on floating gunnery platforms and an AT-ST walker due to their flanking position on the western edge of the Imperial advance. Despite heavy resistance from the destruction of a gunnery platform, the scout transport was not distracted by blast fire from ground troops in the trenches and proceeded to destroy several Rebel artillery emplacements. With the outpost no longer a threat, the walkers and its ground support fell back to join the main assault on Echo Base, forcing the survivors of the encounter to proceed back to base on an abandoned Imperial wheeled combat transport. With T-47 airspeeders flying out of Echo Base's hangar to meet an approaching army, they soon realized that the AT-AT's armor was impervious to their blasters, while a single shot from an AT-AT destroyed one of the rebel airspeeders. Despite this, pilots Thane Kurell and Yendor managed to badly damage a walker's leg by shooting at its joints, ultimately detaching its foot and disabling the behemoth. Shortly afterwards, Rogue Squadron led by Luke Skywalker and Wedge Antilles were able to utilize T-47 airspeeders to somewhat halt the march of the Imperials. Antilles, on Skywalker's suggestion and aided by his gunner Wes Jansen, were able to intuitively use their T-47's tow cables to topple the AT-ATs before blowing it to smithereens in its weakened state. Unfortunately, Skywalker's own snowspeeder was blasted by an AT-AT, killing his co-pilot Dak Ralter and leaving him stranded on the ground, once his ship crashed and was subsequently crushed underfoot. Skywalker was able to attach himself to a nearby AT-AT utilizing his hoist cable, his lightsaber, and a thermal detonator. Another AT-AT was brought to a screeching halt. Despite their valiant efforts, the rebels were unable to hold the Imperials back. Simultaneously, Blizzard 6, 9, and 8 fired on retreating remnants of hangar defense trenches. With many of the rebel defense turrets destroyed, the rebel troops were forced to retreat back to Echo Base. With the Empire now deploying ground troops in an effort to force the rebellion out of their last line of defense, survivors of Outpost Delta smashed through the Imperial front into friendly territory only to discover that Rebel Command's last order was one of total evacuation. With confusion in the field owing to a sudden communications blackout from Echo Base, which some attributed to a walker firing at it, the demoralized rebel forces hastily made way for their escape. First, Sergeant Namir, Roja, and Beak made for the command, which had been hit by AT-AT fire, in search of Captain Yvonne. Upon searching the fire range of Echo Base's power generators, Veers and his AT-AT, Blizzard 1, managed to annihilate the generator, leaving Echo Base vulnerable to orbital bombardment and allowing Lord Vader's shuttle to land on Hoth. Darth Vader's forces smashed into Echo Base by punching a hole through the mountain's eastern face. With the snowtroopers now pouring into Echo Base, Leia instructed all remaining personnel in the base to evacuate immediately. Many of the survivors were able to escape in the transport unharmed, despite numerous TIE/LN starfighters now entering the planet's atmosphere. With the interior of the base now in chaos, remaining rebels hastily made their way to their respective starships, while firefights between Imperial and rebel forces erupted in the corridors, echoing across the crumbling base. Owing to occasional Wampa infiltration, Echo Base, several snowtroopers were slain after entering a room where vicious native Wampas were kept, ignoring a sign clearly marked warning in the process. First Sergeant Namir, Roja, and Beak made it to command to find their captain, Micah Yvonne, unconscious, and Every Chalice, who had refused to leave him for dead. Namir scouted the corridors to find a route to the hangar and returned to lead them back to a shuttle. Roja and Beak picked up by Yvonne, and they advanced down the corridors. Darth Vader, having traveled to Echo Base upon the shield generator's destruction, seeking his son, Luke Skywalker, marched throughout the base to see personally to the rebels' defeat. Leading the Imperial ground assault forces to gates of Echo Base, he used the Force to tear them down. Several rebel troopers, having formed a defensive barrier with crates, opened fire on the Imperials. Vader easily deflected their blast with his lightsaber and cut down several rebels. Snowtroopers proceeded to mount an E-Web heavy repeating blaster cannon and annihilate more defenders. Other snowtroopers attacked and killed rebel troopers with grenades. As the stockade burned, Vader surveyed the destruction while snowtroopers fanned out across the base. Vader first encountered First Sergeant Namir and the others in the corridor. They opened fire, and Vader swiftly leapt in front of Beak, dispatching him with his lightsaber. Roja then threw a grenade at Vader, which was deflected and knocked out Namir. Chalice, thinking Vader had come for her, surrendered before being asked where Skywalker was by the Sith Lord. Vader was then informed by a snowtrooper of the newly discovered location of the Millennium Falcon and threw Chalice into a wall. Namir woke to witness the moment to find Roja and Yvonne dead. Alliance friend and smuggler Han Solo and Chewbacca had previously planned to leave Hoth shortly before the Empire attacked in order to pay off their debt to Jabba the Hutt. They ultimately found themselves stranded with Princess Leia, C-3PO, and R2-D2 once the bombardment began. With troopers arriving in the hangar where the Millennium Falcon was kept, the Falcon was not able to start up immediately due to damage it had sustained earlier, but nonetheless held off approaching snowtroopers by utilizing the ship's weapons system. Just as Vader arrived, the Falcon managed to escape the hangar and subsequently the Hoth system. Rebel forces primarily evacuated Echo Base utilizing the south entrances on the Claiborne Range, from where they headed east to the Rebel transport evacuation site behind the South Ridge. Despite most of the remnants of the rebellion's troops on Hoth managing to escape, the Alliance fleet and Alliance High Command would be temporarily scattered, leaving many of the leaders of the Rebel Alliance separated from their forces and without orders. Luke Skywalker was able to make his way back to Echo Base before the Empire destroyed it and took off in an X-Wing, escorting the GR-75 medium transport duty-free with the aid of Wedge Antilles off the planet. Luke then chose not to go to the rendezvous point in order to find Jedi Master Yoda per Obi-Wan's request. Meanwhile, Solo and his group were unable to go to Lightspeed due to engine troubles and were forced to flee from the Imperial fleet by other means. With First Sergeant Namir and Every Chalice having barely survived their previous encounter with Vader, the two managed to escape in a rebel transport by sending false codes to a Star Destroyer in orbit owing to Chalice's former Imperial employment. Before the destroyer could confirm their suspicions, the two blasted off into hyperspace, unknowing of the role they would play in future events. The last transport to escape was the GR-75 medium transport and was escorted by Wedge, Terran, and Wes Jansen. Of the 30 GR-75 transports utilized by the rebels, 17 were destroyed. Rebel pilot Andon Fox made it off Hoth, escorting one of the transports in an X-Wing. However, the transport carrying his wife was destroyed when attempting to escape Hoth.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that brand new episode of Echo Base Network Retrospectives, The Battle of Hoth. Nick, I just loved putting that thing together and finding out so much information, things about Riken and the people who were there. And I'll tell you, the major thing for me, and you tell me what you think, is we've seen The Empire Strikes Back so many times. Yes, we understand that the rebels lost and they had to flee. But the defeat was a crushing defeat. Crushing. They got overwhelmed and just steamrolled by the Imperial war machine. And that's something that you kind of lose over time when you just watch the movie over and over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I liked how things that were new for me when the Imperials first showed up on Hoth, a couple of the AT-ATs were destroyed trying to cross over crevices. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not know that either. And this is all stuff that I believe comes from the expanded universe.
Yes. From
comics, books, that sort of thing. But they kind of, take a story that we all are very familiar with and just expand on it so much more.
They fill in the gaps.
More life, more depth to it.
Because you got to wonder, how do they get an AT-AT down to the planet's surface?
Yeah.
Well, you just saw it. And that's fan art with the transports that were able to carry two AT-ATs down to the planet's surface. That's pretty awesome. Yep. And we found out a little bit about Vader. So in hearing Jeff talk about that as he read the script, and did a great job narrating this video. So, thank you, Jeff. I know Nick had already mentioned that. One of the things that popped into my head was that was a Darth Vader walking through Echo Base, very similar to the Vader that we get in Rogue One.
Yes, and I so wish we would have seen more of that Vader that they expanded on in the actual movie. That would have been freaking awesome.
Yeah, we need a fan video, like a Star Wars theory kind of person, to put together a Star Wars short clip of Vader walking through Hoth of Echo Base, wiping out rebels. That'd be dope, man.
Yep.
That'd be dope.
Now, I can't remember who this is, but I think I showed you this, Coach, when you were at my house at one point in time. But there's a fan-made special edition of Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars that I own, and they keep the original film together, but they add a whole lot more. So, like the Battle of Hoth, you see more AT-ATs, you see more AT-STATs.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
You see way more stuff in the battle. And you guys will have to Google search it, because off the top of my head I cannot remember who made that, but it's a really cool fan edit that gave more depth to the Battle of Hoth. And if we could get that same thing with Vader coming through there, oh man, that'd be awesome.
And there's some scenes too that we heard, like Wes Jansen and Wedge Antilles leaving the planet's surface, escorting another one of those rebel transport ships in their X-wings. That is so cool.
They were the last ones to leave, right?
Yeah, they were the last people to leave. So awesome there. If we could add scenes like that one day. But the lore is there. The lore is incredible. They're not changing what happened in the movie at all. And that's the kind of thing that we want to do. So, guys, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. But mainly do this. Let us know what you would like to see in the future. Nick, that's something that we're going to talk to our subscribers about. Do we want to poll people? But you dropping comments here, letting us know. And anything in the Star Wars universe is fair game. Like, we could do people, events, ships. We could do it all. And over time, we probably will.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to bring up that this kind of reminds me of, and Coach, I don't know if you read these books, but back in the 90s, there were two books that I got and read. One called, I think it was called The Cantina or something, and there's another one called Bounty Hunters. But it was basically short stories of all the people you saw in the cantina when Luke and Obi-Wan go in there.
I remember that book. I didn't read it.
All those people you see in there, they have side stories.
Like Hammerhead has a chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so then when you watch that scene, you know what all these people are doing. It makes the scene so much cooler to watch. And this whole retrospective that we did on Hoth, now going back and watching the Hoth scene, I'm going to think about all this stuff happening as the lead up happens, as stuff's going on, and it just gives the whole scene more life.
Ironically, it takes something that we love and it makes us love it even more.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, as we said before, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. As always, I am the coach. He is Nicholas Glenn. We are, and you certainly are, Echo Base Network. We are out.
See y'all on the next one.